Hello everyone, myself KUHU SARKAR. I hope you are doing well. So today I'm going to start a new series of theories. So some of my subscribers they asked me to start with cultural studies, but I had told them that I have to start with theories before going to the cultural studies. So here I'm going to start the new criticism, and please support me by your like, comment, and please subscribe my channel if you like my teaching. So let's start with cultural studies, and thank you for giving your time. So here I begin with theory. So you have to know that formalism came first, and formalism divided into two theories. First is Russian formalism and second is new criticism. So, both Russian formalism and new criticism are similar and both dissimilar in some way. So, here I am going to first start with new criticism. After that, I am going to do Russian formalism, and then I am going to take both theories and try to make you understand that how these theories both are similar and dissimilar with each other. But for now, you can understand that both theories try to interpret a text, where new criticism try to interpret a text with content and form. They try to interpret the text with context and the form. They are rejecting the other background, like historical background, author's background. They are only focusing on the text and the content and the form. But Russian formalism, they rejecting the background, the author's background and historical background, and they only focusing on the form, not content. They focusing on the form, and new criticism focusing on the content. Okay, so let's start with new criticism. Here I'm going to just give you the introduction about new criticism. After that I am going to take the theorist one by one. So new criticism. The new criticism definition is a new way of teaching literature by analyzing a work based on that work's text. In other words, this theory analyzes only what is present in a work of literature, does not take analyze anything else into account, such as author and historical and cultural significance. So new criticism, what new criticism do? New criticism only focusing on the text. They reject the author's background, the historical background of the text, the cultural significance. They only focus on the text, what is written on the paper, and they only focusing on the text. While those who use the theory do not completely disregard author or background, they are in favor of the idea that everything needed to understand the work is present within it, and that the other factors have very little bearing on or relevance to the meaning of literature. So what they said, they sometimes they did not totally reject authors or the background, but they said that they had the author and the historical background of the text had the little significance for understanding or interpreting the text. So we should only focus on the text. We should do close reading of the text, looking at the form, that what the text trying to say. Therefore we can understand that what that text is trying to say, or we can interpret the text, but we do not give significance to the writer and to the background, historical background of the text. New criticism arose in the beginning of 20th century in America and Great Britain. This theory utilizes taking a close reading of a text. Close reading, note this term close reading. So new criticism said that you have to do close reading of a text, which is dismantling a text and looking at the elements within it, such as symbolism or metaphor. As I already said, that they focused on the form. So what symbolism, what metaphor is used, they are focusing to find the meaning of it, to find the meaning of the text, rather than considering the author or their background as many critics had done prior. New critics focus solely on the devices present in the text in order to analyze it. So they are not focusing on the background, on the historical background, on the author biography. They are only focusing on the text. Therefore you can understand that they are only focusing on the form, on the content. Though the practice of close reading can be seen before in 20th century, literary critics like Ivor Armstrong, Richard mean I.A. Richard helped to refine the technique into what is now known as new criticism. So first, new criticism, the term new criticism coined in J.C. Ransom's book, The New Criticism. But before that, I.A. Richard also practiced these techniques. How he practiced this technique? He used to give his students a literary works. Most of the time, he used to give the student a poem, a artwork, and he's just don't give the he did not give the author's name, and he said that interpret it. So what we did, if I give you a poem, a literary work, what you did, what you do, you just, if I give you a poem about of Wordsworth, first you look that okay, it is written by Wordsworth, then I have to interpret it in that way, because Wordsworth was a nature lover, so I have to interpret in that way, and then you going to write the interpretation, that explanation, that Wordsworth is a nature lover, and what that. Then I told you that no, this is not written by Watson, but this is written by Philip Larkin. And then you said, okay, Philip Larkin. No, Philip Larkin is a modernist. He could not write in that way. So you are defining the artwork by looking at looking that who was written this poem, who was write this poem. So if I talk about that, in our Bengali literature, if I gave you a poem written by Rabindranath Tagore, and what you did that, yes, Rabindranath Tagore was also a nature lover, he was spiritual, and you write it in that way. But if I said that no, it is written by a modern writer, then you said no, it is no, then the explanation is wrong. So I.A. Richardson, what he practiced, he gave his students a literary work, and then he want the explanation, but he did not give the writer's name. So this practice was done before this term new criticism came. He used to practice this, and this is he wrote a essay which is called practical criticism. So he did it practical criticism, and after that, when J.C. Ransom used the term new criticism, then the theory came new criticism. Okay, I hope you can understand. So Richards Richards published Practical Criticism in 1929. So he wrote the book Practical Criticism in 1929, a book that analyzed how people respond to poems that they did not know the author of. So what I explained you, that he tried to understand that how people respond to a poem that they did not know the author of. This helped to form the basic of new criticism, and was expanded on by other authors like William Empson and T.S. Eliot. So William Empson and T.S. Eliot also practiced it. In 1941, this new type of criticism finally got its name from literary critic John Crow Ransom and his book The New Criticism. So he practiced this technique, but this technique got this name after J.C. Ransom wrote the book The New Criticism, which provided some of the early principles of analyzing literature based only on its text. Many authors and critics contributed to the idea of new criticism, helping it to become one of the most popular method of analysis in the mid 20th century. After that, this theory became popularized. New criticism was a formalist movement in literary theory in US. So it is a formalist movement. As I told you before that it is a formalist movement, and the two division is, first is Russian formalism and then is new criticism. Both these theories uh, are some kind of similar. New critics, a poem is a well wrought art. So for new critics, a poem is a well wrought art, and this idea was shared by F.R. Lewis. This movement derived its name from J.C. Ranson's book New Criticism in 1941. So, this movement derives its name from J.C. Ranson's book New Criticism in 1941. So, note this in your notebook. Okay. So, let's know about the major theorists. I am now only talking about only going to give you the names only. Okay. Major theorists are I.A. Richards, T.S. Eliot, F.R. Lewis, J.C. Ransom, Clint Brooks, W.K. Wimsatt, Ellen Tate, Robert Penn Warren. So please note this down, because in exam they usually ask this name, and they ask you that in chronology, or they ask you the odd one out. Okay, so major theorists: I.A. Richards, T.S. Eliot, F.R. Lewis, J.C. Ransom, Clint Brooks, W.K. Wimsatt, Alan Tate, Robert Penn Warren. Then I.A. Richards, he wrote Practical Criticism in 1929. Note this down. They sometimes they ask that publication date. I.A. Richards wrote Practical Criticism in 1929 against Coleridge's impressionistic theory. So, new criticism theory was against Coleridge's impressionistic theory. That Coleridge said that impressionistic theory, that author impression, so they just reject the author's feeling. After that, they also talk about intentional fallacy, effective fallacy in this theory also. So they reject Coleridge's impressionistic theory. They believed poem as an unified organic whole. They believed poem as a unified organic whole. They believed that in in poem or any literary work, you do not want many things to interpret it. You can understand it because of the text, because it is a totally a whole thing, a unified organic whole. So here I divided these theorists. Cambridge professors are I.A. Richards, F.R. Lewis, William Emerson. So remember it, because they can ask you that who are Cambridge professors. Cambridge professors are I.A. Richards, F.R. Lewis, William Emerson. And American fugitives, they are also called American fugitives because uh, the journal Fugitives. Okay, so they are from American theorists are Alan Tate, Robert Penn Warren, Clint Brook, J.C. Ranson, and R.P. Blackmore. I repeat: Alan Tate, Robert Penn Warren, Clint Brook, J.C. Ransom, R.P. Blackmore. J.C. Ranson's book New Criticism in 1941. So they believe that text as a autotelic artifact, means text, it is similar like organic whole. So text itself is a autotelic artifact. You don't have to go background. You don't have to go the historical background. The you don't have to go the author's biography. It itself a autotelic artifact. It itself telling you the story. Close reading, they believed in close reading. So who talked about close reading? I.A. Richard proposed close reading in his book Principles, Literary Criticism and Practical Criticism. So, I.A. Richards proposed close reading in his book Principles of Literary Criticism. Let's talk about the major books of this theory. First is Traditional and Individual Talent by T.S. Eliot, Hamlet and His Problem by T.S. Eliot. So, T.S. Eliot, you know that was a new critics. So, Traditional and Individual Talent by T.S. Eliot and Hamlet and His Problems by T.S. Eliot. Then, Wimsatt and Beardsley wrote The Verbal Icon. So, it is an important book which published in 1946. So there they use the term intentional fallacy and affective fallacy. So note these terms intentional fallacy and affective fallacy because this is important in new critics. Intentional fallacy mean you cannot go with author's feeling, and affective fallacy mean you cannot go with reader's feeling. After that, I'm going to make video on these terms one by one. Okay. So Clint Brook in his book The Well-Wrought Urn studies in the structure of poetry. Clint Brook in his book The Well-Wrought Urn studies in the structure of poetry conceptualize the term heresy of paraphrase and language of paradox. So he gave the terms heresy of paraphrase and language of paradox. I also want to talk about these terms. F.R. Lewis wrote the great tradition. Sorry, this is a typo. F.R. Lewis wrote the great tradition associated with the scrutiny. Scrutiny was the journal. Okay, so F.R. Lewis wrote the great tradition associated with the scrutiny. Then Miss Emily and Biography, essay by Alan Tate. Miss Emily and Biography, essay by Alan Tate. Then Empson wrote the seven types of ambiguity. This is also important. I am going to make video on this also. Seven types of ambiguity wrote in 1930. Then in Frontiers of Criticism by T.S. Eliot named new criticism as lemon squeezing criticism. So this is an important sentence. Okay, lemon squeezing criticism. So he said about new criticism, lemon squeezing criticism in Frontier of Criticism. So this question they asked always. Close reading, the practice of analyzing a text in detail to derive meaning directly from the text itself. So what is close reading? The practice of analyzing a text in detail to derive meaning directly from the text. So T.S. Eliot said that it is lemon squeezing. You have to squeeze the lemon to know the to taste the flavor, but he they are criticized it because if you squeeze lemon again and again it become bitter, right? Then theorists are John Crow Ransom, Clint Brook, F.R. Lewis. Form. So here the theorists of close reading who associated with it, they are John Cloramson, Clint Brook and F.R. Lewis. Then form. Who talked about form? The structure and organization of a literary work. So what is form? The structure and organization of a literary work, like metaphor, simile and Russian formalism talk about form. And theorists are Clint Brook, J.C. Ransom. They talked about form. Then unity, they believed in unity, the concept that a literary work is unified whole, as I told you before, that a literary work is a unified whole where each element contribute to the overall meaning. And theorists are Clint Brook, T.S. Eliot, J.C. Ransom. Then they talked about ambiguity, the presence of multiple possible meaning with a text. So the presence of multiple possible meaning within the text. A text can be interpreted like that, can be interpreted like that. I myself interpreted a text in my way. You, another individual, interpreted in your way. It is called ambiguity. And theorists are W.K. Wimsatt, Monroe, C. Beardsley. So they talked about ambiguity. Then paradox, a statement or situation that appears contradictory but reveals deeper truth. So what is paradox? A statement or situation that appears contradictory but reveals deeper truth. And who are the theorists? Clint Brook, J.C. Ransom. So you can say that these theorists are talking about this. You cannot differentiate it with it. Okay, so when I am going to talk about each and every theorist, you can understand that which theorist talking about which term. Irony also a literary device involving a uh, discrepancy between what is said and what is meant. You know what is irony, right? Theorists are Clint Brook and J.C. Ransom. Then symbolism, the use of symbols to represent abstract ideas. This is called symbolism. Theorists are J.C. Ransom and Clint Brook. Then intentional fallacy, the mistake belief that the author's intended meaning is the sole determinant of a text meaning. So what is intentional fallacy? The mistaken belief that the author's intended meaning is the sole determinant of a text meaning. So later I am going to talk about this. And theorists are W.K. Wimsatt and Beardsley, and they use the term in the verbal icon which published in 1946. Affective fallacy means the misconception that a reader's emotional response is the same as the text meaning. So what the reader think, what the reader emotion, what the reader feel, if you think that this is the right interpretation, this is the right explanation, you are doing wrong. So this is called affective fallacy, that how the text affect you, and you, if you think that how it affects me is the only truth, you are doing wrong. This is called affective fallacy, and Wimsatt and Beardsley gave this term. Then verbal texture, the way language is used in a text. They are also talking about the verbal texture, and theorists are Clint Brooks. Organic unity, the idea that each part of a work contributes to the whole. So same things was which I told you before, that organic unity, the idea or that each part of the text contribute to the whole. And who gave this? Clint Brook and J.C. Ransom. Objective correlative, this is important. Objective correlative, a set of object, events or situation that evoke a specific emotion. So a set of object, events or situation, when they evoke to a specific emotion, this is called objective correlative. And you know who is gave this idea? This T.S. Eliot gave the objective correlative term. Okay. So let's talk about the journals, the famous journals. You have to note down these journals because sometimes they asked, and nowadays they ask in that kind of questions. Three journals were instrumental in this ascendancy of new criticism during the 1940s. The Southern Review first series, then which came in 1935 to 42, then the Kenyan Review first series 1939 to 70, the Sewen Review 1892. So Kenyan Review, Southern Review and Sewen Review. So that's all. So if you like my video, please support me by subscribing my channel, and thank you for giving your time. And I'm try to continue this series if you like this series. Okay, thank you.